it was a way of expressing my experience as being bullied, and also it was a way for me to make people laugh with me as opposed to make people laugh at me. I'm really grateful for not having cable for a long period of time. So I was watching local TV up to when I was 21. So the storytelling is Paul Keynes and the loudness is Roy. So it's a mixture of Paul and Roy inside the corner, right? So when you try to manage 5 children in essence who are the same age, it's plenty. As opposed to for that 12-year-old who could look out for the 1-year-old, you know? So
nobody can babysit for nobody.
Exactly. So nobody, I have to be babysitting all of.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the South Central Podcast. I am your host, Ron Austin. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I am excited. Why? Because I have South's very own event host, business owner and entrepreneur, motivational speaker, stand-up comedian, presentation college graduate, most importantly, a South man on the South Central Podcast, a man who is admired by many of the young stand-up comedians and even the old stand-up comedians as one of the greats. And I am speaking of none other than Mr. Keevan Lewis, also known as Keevo.
Yo, what's up? What's up? Good day to everybody. Ron, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here, boy.
Thank you very much.
That's a big resume, boy. I sound old there, boy, but I go take it.
Boy, I go in and like to tell you, next to Kevin, researching for Kevin interview, yours,
Right.
You had me busy for some days, you know. I'm telling you, I feel like I talk it the whole week.
Well, that's a good thing.
Now, my first question I want to ask you, I know most people ask like, who is Keevan? Or I already wanted to touch on maybe the origins, but going way back, you spoke on something on a podcast in 2018. You went to a program your uncle had, a success program. Could you just speak on how impactful that was, that particular program, what it was, and how it impacted a young Keevan at that time and shaping his future moving forward?
Well, I would say, first of all, you did good research. That's one, right?
Thank you.
I would say that it made me believe that anything I put my mind to is possible. So possibilities were endless. And I appreciated that program because I was able to think differently than most people. So I wasn't boxed in. So one of the things that I remember from that class was self-imposed limits and real limits, right? Real limits meaning I can't probably run faster than a horse.
Right.
But if it is that I try to train as hard as possible, I can possibly beat, somebody who is a sprinter just like me. So the self-imposed limits of believing that I can only be a doctor and a lawyer or an engineer was shattered for me to be able to see what my talent was and how big I could be with that talent alone. So that program was really impactful for me in terms of seeing myself bigger than what was presented in front of my face.
Okay, so, and because I don't want to jump, because immediately now I'm thinking, how, because your hands in so many different pockets, but I don't want to jump the gun. I want to really talk about, because if we move just a little bit forward, I remember you speaking about how stand-up was like a coping mechanism. Or you use it to cope with bullies and things, and then, Keevo, you talk. So when I hear you say Keevo getting bullied, I'm like, wait, Keevo get experience the same thing as me? So how stand-up comedy help you to cope with what was going through as a young man coming up?
Well, it was a way of expressing my experience as being bullied, and also it was a way for me to make people laugh with me as opposed to make people laugh at me. So this is why you never see me wearing all them fancy, decor on my face to look funny now. I prefer to use my wit to be funny, because when I put on that stuff, people laughing at me.
As a comedian, not a clown.
Not a clown, right? So for me, it was a way in which laughter could be healing, because we could join together and laugh together. Because when I was bullied, I felt as though I wasn't allowed to laugh with anybody, right? But when I make a joke, it's us laughing together, because what he said I could relate to, and we're now part of the community. So it was changing the way laughter was for me. So hearing somebody laugh, I know more likely they're laughing at me. They're laughing with me, So that was the way stand-up comedy helped me.
Trinidad and Tobago, it's your boy Kes Ramsey. Christians Can Laugh 2024. This year, we're doing things big. We're having 2 shows, one in North, one in South, November 2nd and 3rd. Christians Can Laugh will be in Napa, Port of Spain. And then on the Sunday evening, we're in Sapa. General tickets, only $150. VIP tickets, $250 online only. On Island tickets, you can get those there. And a group special also. For $1,000, you could get 10 of you and your whole crew inside Christians Can Laugh. Only on Island tickets and general tickets at all the physical outlets. Can't wait to see you guys. Can't wait to laugh together. Blessings.
Christians Can Laugh 2024 is back! 2 nights only. Saturday, November 2nd at Napa, Port of Spain. Sunday, November 3rd at Sapa, San Fernando. The biggest clean comedy festival in TNT. Christians Can Laugh. Don't miss it.
Alright, in that case, was it difficult to find your voice as you was now developing, bringing the people into, because I know not immediately everybody just pick up, okay, this my rhythm, this how I just speak, and you seem to have that down pack at this point.
Well, actually, it was not difficult because when I was in university in the West Indies, I was part of Catholic Students Movement, and they had a Lenten production every year. And they obviously that's on stage, that's drama. And most of the people who were writing the script, etc., were actually studying drama. So I learned from those people in terms of stage presence, in terms of delivery of jokes, that kind of stuff. But I was always a comedic character in the play. So I was practicing for 7 years how to present myself on stage. So from people who were studying drama, understanding the fourth wall and all these things, I was learning from them. So it was beneficial for me to be in that group initially. And then I went on to spoken word, where we had one mic with Skeeto and Mohammed Wakil, all these people underground. I was part of that group when they had just started. And I was really privileged to see stage presence in different lights in terms of poetry and that kind of stuff. So I harnessed all those information and said, all right, this is how I do my thing, pulling from different people and create my own brand.
And how was it hosting? Because that's one of my questions. How was it hosting those early days of one mic for those who, like myself, now community and we would not experience it back in its pure form like that?
Yeah.
How was that experience hosting that and like the early days of UE?
But it was just raw talent on stage, and the audience was always receptive to anybody, any type of music, any type of spoken word. It was the rawest talent you could see. And honestly, a lot of the people that you see now in spoken word and even in music came from right there now, boy. So for me, it was a nice experience being part of the unfiltered environment of just creatives who love to be on stage and perform their craft. So for me, I loved every single minute of it.
Okay, now, Kevin, let's say something that I wanted to ask you about. He does say that we younger comedians, we have it easier in comedy coming in because it have older comedians, younger comedians who could embrace us, you being one of them, who embrace a lot of the young generation. But I heard you speak about it a little while ago. Your first comedy performance ever went good. But the second one, could you speak a little bit on that second comedy performance? Because I had a little bit of the same experience. I know your hero, one of your comedy inspirations, Chappelle, had something very similar to your relatable experience. Could you speak on that second performance?
You talking about when they boom off stage?
Yes.
Yeah. That
I can't even believe that.
Yeah.
I've seen you kill consistently every single show.
Yeah, dog. But honestly, it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because for me, I realized that you should not market yourself to an environment that doesn't want you, right? So if people like this type of comedy and I provide this type of comedy, I shouldn't really go south. I might get some people who like it, but I shouldn't be trying to base my fan base in south, if you know what I mean. So I learned that when I was booed off stage, that this group of people don't appreciate my type of comedy. It doesn't mean I wasn't good. It's that crowd just didn't like it, because I was in a group that liked the old school type of comedy, the slapstick kind of stuff. And for me, I was trying to transition into my Chappelles and my Kevin Hart's, etc. So the witty You had to catch the joke.
You had to think about
You had to
it.
think about it and realize where he was going.
The joke start quiet here and then end here and he loop it back.
Nah, they're not looking for that. And they, in a matter of 2 minutes, they started clap slow. And pelt nuts at me, dog. Nuts at a pelt horse. Time to come off. And I was like, well, good night, everybody. But it didn't faze me because I'm grateful for one of the older comedians. They say that, I always say this. They say in Pull Me Square and say, dog, this is just not your crowd.
The drunken
The
saying?
drunken saying Pull Me Square and say, yo, there's not a crowd, but your comedy is very good. And he appreciated my comedy. So he told me, don't give up on your comedy because he knew that it just wasn't the right crowd. So he was a big part in me not stopping. Because sometimes when I get boo, like dog, I've got people booing here, it's hard to take care. But if it would not have said, I probably might have not done it as consistently as I would have now.
Which part you? Where you going? What you doing
I just
here?
want to park by
Hey,
come
what you doing here?
to the Christians can laugh show. I
Oh, right,
just
right,
want
right.
to park.
But it's not VIP. You
You know me?
Bring out your ticket. General, in the back.
Oh gosh, boy.
I say you had to
I will call Kesson.
go. Call Cass.
I
You
know
can call
Cass.
Cass specific. Call Messano too. You going?
Hey, look Cass here. Look Cass here. Let me see your ticket.
No, you're not forget about it.
Let me see. General, be back by brother boy.
He's not a VIP.
Don't let us happen to you. Christians can laugh. VIP tickets on islandetickets.com. Get yours today.
He's not a
Yeah.
He's not a VIP.
Christians Can Laugh 2024. The biggest clean comedy festival in TNT is back. 2 nights only. Saturday, November 2nd at Napa, Port of Spain. Sunday, November 3rd, Sapa, San Fernando. General admission tickets, $150. Limited group and VIP tickets available online. Don't miss out on the biggest display of clean comedy in TNT.
Yeah.
Okay, so this triggers on. You spoke on an experience that you went through while you were in Scouts as a young man.
Right.
When you had a joke and it was a real joke and your mom reprimanded you.
Yeah.
Right? And I want to just ask you a little bit how that. Because you say that it stick with you, you could remember everything
Yeah,
down to where
yeah.
you was wearing.
Yeah.
How that experience shaped Keevo moving forward in terms of performing clean comedy. And is there ever a part of you that does think about, venturing into the other side of it?
Yeah, I do think about it, and I remember that experience because I didn't really. I'm close to my mother and father and sister and whatnot, and the joke did not respect women, and I felt so badly about it that I made it my mantra to not dishonor people as much as I could. Obviously, people are going to be stepped on in terms of your jokes and whatnot, but knowing where I came from in terms of my environment at home, we didn't drink, we didn't use expletives, etc. So it was an environment that was easy for me to build a brand on. But because you're young and impressionable, you're just cracking any joke for a joke's sake.
Yeah,
right?
You're trying to
But
get the laugh, you're trying to get the
the
people.
laugh. And at that point in time, it was just that my teacher heard that joke and she reported to my mother one time. So that was the turning point in terms of me realizing, listen, not everything is a joke, and be mindful of what you're saying because people could be affected. So I wouldn't say I'm diplomatic all the time. Sometimes I think I'm moving away from it to try to tell the truth a little more through my comedy. But throughout my journey thus far, it has helped me reach more people. Because if you see Keevo in a video, you guaranteed not to hear a curse word. So I said it's a granny, auntie, uncle, and a 5-year-old.
You can market to almost anybody.
Everybody could appreciate it now. So it wasn't intentional, but it was more of this is what my brand is, what I want to build, and it did well for me.
This is a question from a fan. This is a fan question from Gabriel Bridgman. When are we seeing another Keevo comedy special?
Well, the hopes are for next year, right? I actually did 2 comedy specials, one in 2014 and one in 2016. But 2014 was actually put to DVD. So I didn't say I took some time, but life happened, and you want to make sure it's perfect, and you're a perfectionist now. So I'm hoping that with all things lined up next year, I could do a special. And for me, I think it's about time to, step back out and do my thing.
Okay, and this is something I wanted to ask as well in terms of when we talking about like personal development. You spoke about a point in your life where responsibilities happen, and now it's not just you're a young man and you had to pay your bills and make sure this. And could you speak on how now that point? how it was a changing point in your career in terms of you now have to manage more responsibilities. You might be married. You have multiple hands in different businesses. You have your hand in black sheep going on. That was a process to start. I want to talk about even because that was a whole 5-year process to even get the money to start up. Most people don't see that process.
Yeah.
How was that point in your career in terms of now managing more responsibility in your life and going to that next level?
Well, it is difficult because when I started my entrepreneurship journey, I always wanted to have multiple streams of income. It wasn't just one. And one thing I would admit is that I tried to do everything at the same time as opposed to build one and let the other one, this finance the other. I wanted to do 3 and 4 things at the same time. So when you try to manage 5 children in a sense who are the same age, it's plenty. As opposed to for that 12-year-old who could look out for the 1-year-old, you know? So
Nobody can babysit for nobody.
exactly. So nobody, I have to be babysitting all that boy. So that's why for me, every time I go into a business, it's always in partnership. So at least I have somebody to assist, along the way. But for me, it was very hard to do, and it definitely drained my creativity because you're overthinking too much because you're on business too. I trying to sit down in the car and make a video or think about it. So it was a little hard for me to sit and write and sit and create because for me, my best time in writing or creating a joke is when I am doing nothing. Boredom for me is the best time to get the ideas out. Meditation for me is the best time to get the ideas out. Or having time to tell us line. Because me and Ron could be talking and Ron could say one word. And you will see me in my phone, I say I put that down there, Ron, I connect that, and I'll just build it out afterwards. But I ain't get time to line. So all that is my space to be able to get my material, and it was difficult.
So you find yourself in between business and the creative side and you're juggling between the two?
Correct.
Okay, so in that, alright, so...
Bumpy,
Yo.
this is the ad for Christians Can Laugh.
All
I want to hit this one out the park for me. I know you have it in here.
Join us for an unforgettable night of clean comedy at Christians Can Laugh 2024, featuring Kes Ramsey and
Oh, wait, free up yourself. A little more while, Let me see it.
Boom! It's your boy Bumpy, and this is Christians Can Laugh 2024. Come on, Napa, Sever, let's go!
Yo, it's not a zest. It's not
I
a
don't
boat
want
ride,
it.
bro.
I didn't want thing you wanted
Nah,
to
give me a little in between, Nice and fun, but...
You're gonna laugh until you cry. You don't want to miss it. Come laugh with us at Napa on November 2nd and Sapa on November 3rd. Tickets are selling fast at islandetickets.com.
That is what we're talking about.
Christians Can Laugh 2024. Saturday, November 2nd at Napa, Port of Spain. Sunday, November 3rd, Sapa, San Fernando. Call 725-0707 for more information. Don't miss out on the biggest display of clean comedy in TNT.
How would you have... Because when you say that, right, I'm now taking... Because you have Black Sheep going on in the 80s. You have Pump developing as well around the same time. Yeah, and you also have real estate going on. Keevo, when you don't sleep...
Well, that's more just tell me that's the biggest challenge I have in terms of sleeping. Because I'm always thinking about what happens next or what I have to do tomorrow. And it's exhausting sometimes to know I have a week of... I have to do this gig. And then I have to... show this house and that kind of stuff. But my motivation honestly is my family, yeah. So I won't rest until they are always good now, right? I'm thankful that I'm able to get those things running at this point in time to be able to finance and provide for my family. But it is not something I would recommend if you don't have a deep wife factor. If you're not motivated by something that will make you emotional or make you angry, don't do what I do it. Yeah, you have to be deeply rooted in our why. Why do I want to do it? And if
your why have to be
your
important.
why
Your
have
why
to be
have
really
to be
important. I want to be able to retire early. I want to be able to provide for my family and live a comfortable life. I have to be flams and rich. I just need to be a comfortable life. And that's what motivated me. So I want to buy back time and I'm going to give to an employer. So I have to kind of grind down now. Yes, it is at the stake of your health, etc. So you have to balance that. And I don't think I've done well sometimes, but I'm doing a little better. So I think the important part is for me to have good time management. My time I don't play, right? So when when I'm off track, like how I got here late, that is set me off because I know I wanted to commit this amount of time and I have this else to do. So time for me is critical in terms of making sure I give all things 100%. So that's me.
Okay. And there's something I see you doing aside from even business ownership and all to that I found very, very admirable. When it comes to the educational system, you tackle it at its core as to the problems that children dealing with. And not only that, you're not only addressing the problem via your social commentary, you're providing a solution via the companies that you work with.
Yeah.
Could you speak a little bit on the problems that you see in the system and how we need to really cater for each individual child and their own learning?
Yeah. It's difficult to try to target each individual child, but I do think generations after generations, there needs to be a difference in the way in which we teach and how children learn. So I can give a 4-year-old a laptop or iPad, and he or she will breeze through that very easily because in their DNA is the work that my generation did, learning it. So we learned the tech, and now it's built into their system. So to give a child some things that are irrelevant now is making them feel as though their superpower is unimportant, right? Let us try to change the way in which the school system is done, where we can target their skill earlier, right? Stop testing children so much. They don't need to be tested. Why should I fail at social studies? I can Google everything now. Why should I fail at social studies?
I need to just cram this information in the
back of my head, right? This should just be something that we grow up doing because on TTT and these local stations, it's part of our DNA that we know this commercial, this show, this program. But we are so, I would say, conditioned to know other cultures that we ourselves don't even know that Larry is where the pitch lake is and Moruga have another pitch lake too. This is supposed to be how we condition our society. So when you're not doing it the way it should be done, these children are going to fall into depression, alcoholism very early because when I go to school, the colonial system of teaching is still present and we feel as though children feel as though that they're backward and they're not good enough. These children don't need to learn these things. These children are supposed to be coding and making robots and helping with AI by now. You understand? So our main problem is that there is a generation ahead of me that is holding on to the reins for the sake of relevance. And I will say it now.
Yes,
they're holding on to the reins for the sake of relevance. And I'm not saying all of them are, but many of them are holding on to it. And they are killing the abilities,
the spirit,
and causing those people not to fall off, but to flee and go to other countries that will welcome them.
And look for alternatives.
So for me, I just think we need to be prepared for a world that doesn't exist yet. I'm not doing that.
And it's coming very fast.
It's coming very fast.
Very fast.
Very
fast.
Fast.
Phone was quick. Wait till you see AI.
Wait till you see AI, bro. Yeah.
Now, I admire your social commentary because not only do you tackle the important issues like some of these archaic systems that we still have in place, but you target a vibe from when the cricket lights went out.
Yeah.
Oh, I was laughing when
That's a sore spot for me still.
Every time I went, I was like, hey, let me
A sore spot for me still. Yeah.
Your sports commentary, sports is class.
Yeah, I love my sports, man.
Oh, and I asked that, but I don't want to lose the hours.
Yeah.
On your social commentary, have you ever commented or provided your opinion on a topic and then your opinion changed over time? Or it had any backlash associated with the commentary that you may have provided?
I can't remember offhand, to be honest, if I've had anything that my opinion has changed significantly. More information may have come out, but what I always do is before I speak, I get as much information as possible. So I'm very well versed in the topic, and then I go forward. So one thing you'll never hear me talk about in a serious sense is relationships. I don't touch that because it's just a lot and too much sides and whatnot, and I don't give no advice on that, right? My advice would be very comedic, right? So I go that route because people can relate to it all the time, and if they don't like it, they don't like it. It's not the sake of who he feel he is, because I myself will have challenges, so I can't talk as a guru. I don't believe in that. But anything else, I try my best to not toe the line, but have the information and speak from a place of truth, because I believe I'm a man of the people. So what the ground saying, I represent them, right? So I ain't gonna just talk while for the sake of talking while, but I represent the people.
Okay, so with that, because I want to ask, and just jumping back to it, because my mind on your sports commentary,
Yeah, no
that you're
problem.
pointed. Are we going to see any Keevo sports commentary in the future? Do you plan to do any type of anything with sports?
Well, boy, that's a dream of mine, because for some strange reason, I am very good at remembering stats. And sports to me is I watch any type of sport I could get my hands on. Mainly football, cricket, and basketball. But I like sports commentary. If I have the opportunity to do it, I will do it for sure. And it is something I would obviously welcome. It's not a problem for me. But I think what I will do is, I remember in the Premier League, there was a fan zone where the fans would be the commentators. So if you don't hear the regular commentators, you can hear the fans. I can provide something like that.
Yeah.
Where you can hear Keevo and Javel talk about Man U versus
that would be.
and AC
Or you
Milan.
and Samson.
And me and Samson.
Samson is a football man.
Exactly. And we go that route and we just commentate on our sports fans. And yeah.
Have you ever heard Paul Keane Douglas talk about cricket?
Yes.
That is how I just feel listening to you. I swear.
I remember that story that he had. How much Lara make?
Okay, and speaking of, and this is somebody I just always mention, even before I meet you, when your name come up. And I don't want to pronounce his name right. He played Roy in Roy and Gloria. I believe his name is Greaves.
Yeah.
Are you're familiar with
Yeah,
this?
I am.
Do you see any similarities? Do you ever put from him? Because every time the minute I see you the first time, I was like, this man is what Roy was for me as a youth.
Right.
Every time I see Keevo, I was like, oh, they don't find that Keevo kind of like what Roy used to be on TV6.
Yeah.
And it's so amazing to see you now have that man, and in the same way I used to watch TV6 when I'd come up and I see him talk, your voice is almost just as distinctive.
But you see, the funny thing is that I'm really grateful for not having cable for a long period of time. So I was watching local TV up to when I was 21, right? So that means I know Roy. I've seen Roy, all of Roy's skits, etc. So a part of me was using Roy as a muse to develop Keevo, because that kind of loudness, that shouting, is where I kind of get Roy from now. So the storytelling is Paul Keane's and the loudness is Roy. So it's a mixture of Paul and Roy inside the corner, right? So you educational, you paint a picture, and the frustration of just talking about stuff is the Roy. So that is the mixture.
That connects with, that's like two of my favorite male comedy influences from that generation.
Correct.
I like them.
Yeah.
Paul Keane's Douglas storytelling is.
Yeah, he boss. Boss. You can't beat Paul. You can't beat Paul on
And it's
storytelling.
how authentic he is to Trinidadian
Correct.
culture. And I just get that from you now too, when you was on stage and you, the way you just move the crowd. And I have not seen that from, I've been around a lot of the young comedians, and every time I see you perform, when you start Need Alone, that Island Finance, give her the whole crowd and get everybody sing that voice.
Yeah.
You just hit the nail. You didn't say you're a man of the people. It does tell in your comedy, but your comedy does say the heart and soul of the culture, the people.
Yeah. The main reason, as I said, is it actually relates back to the bullying, because I want people to join me on stage when I do a set. So the comedy is always inclusive. So I try to make sure that even if I pinpoint one person, everybody experienced that at one point in time. So as simple as ice fall by the fridge, kick it under the fridge. That's not a me thing. It's not a run thing. It's a Trini thing. It might be a Caribbean thing. It might stretch. So we live in the same life. So for me, it's to do the deep research and see how familiar are we, and just wrap that into a comedic set and let them laugh at themselves, right? So we all laughing together. So that's the focus always with my comedy. We all laughing together. We ain't laughing at one person. We laughing together. That's it.
What are some of the things that your father taught you that you didn't realize until you was in the moment and you was like, wait, boy. That, because even I growing up now, I'm 29. So my relationship with my father different.
Right.
Sometimes we fall out, sometimes we good, sometimes he tell me things that he told me a long time ago, and only as now as I reach a big man, I'm like, wait, boy.
Yeah.
Daddy really was just trying his best to do what he had to do. So what was that relationship as you got older with your father?
One thing he taught me at the beginning was attitude and not aptitude will determine your altitude. So he was big on relationship. So my father had friends that will drop everything and help him out with anything, right? He needs somebody to fix the car, right? Hey, he help out my son now. I said, yeah, no problem. He had a skill at relationships, and he was influential that way. So being able to help people and being able to have the right attitude towards people, he was a master at that. So I learned the importance of building good relationships, right? You don't have to have enemies. If somebody stepped here, obviously you tell them what the time is, but you don't have to have enemies. The second thing he told me was, a man with no money is a dog. He was an accountant, so he don't play with finance, right? So my father was big on, you need to spend money on a good shoe, spend money on a good belt, and a good suit, right? Other than that, if you get a shirt for $17, dog, and it looking good, buy the shirt, right? Because more than likely that same shirt is $200 across somewhere. It's the same shirt that you're buying anyway. So he said, make sure you have a good suit because you don't wear a shooter bus. Your belt and your suit have be looking good. But he taught me the importance of managing your finance and making sure you have money to provide and not wasting your money on foolishness. Because I can tell you in the earlys, when I get your first job, you're wild now, boy. And when I got my first paycheck, lo and behold, my car that I got started call for money. The engine went. So I tell myself, well, this is my parents, they can help me out. They say, nah. I see you. They see you're a big man now.
On your first
paycheck,
the engine, why?
The engine went. Right? And that's 3/4 of my pay. And my father tell me, you're a big man now. You gotta handle that. And I held that kind of anger towards my parents, because like, dog, I now start to help them out now. And my thing was, from now on, I'm never going to ask them for a dollar. And that was the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey. If they didn't do that and put me in the seat of you responsible, I would have still begged and asked and want help, etc. I never asked them, not for the sake of me. I don't need them. It was more of, I now realize that this is all me now. If you're making money, make more and handle the business. And that's what I did ever since. So that was the biggest lesson. Them not giving me that money for that engine was the best lesson they ever did to me. No lie.
Really?
Yeah. Life lesson.
Disclaimer, Daddy, this don't apply to you. This don't apply to you. I love you.
Don't give him nothing.
Now, as you mentioned, being a man with people and your father's interaction and his network, do you think that this was the foundation in you? Because you work in HSC, which is caring about the people, preventative measure. Your comedy helps heal people. You provide commentary for people you involve. Is helping people, providing for the people, are one of the driving forces of Keevo?
Yeah, for sure. I never want somebody to feel alone, boy. I'll come back to the bullying. Bullying makes you feel alone. And when you feel alone, your thoughts go into the wrong places. And you never want to feel that way. And I think helping and healing is important through your different skills because you want somebody to not feel like the world is against them because they end up making bad decisions about that. So we need everybody. We need you. We need your talent. And I always tell people, you making a bad decision like that to isolate yourself is you robbing yourself of your talent. And you're here for a reason. So I am big on focusing that if you're not safe, by you not being safe, you put yourself in jeopardy and we lose out on your talent. If you isolate yourself, that's the same thing, we lose out on your talent. So I'm big on making sure that this is our big family. We are all one body, we're all connected, and we need every single cell to make the body. And any cell that is isolated or not getting what it needs can become a cancer. And that could spread. And we don't need that. So everybody needs to get their food. So how do we get their food? Comedy, motivation, laughter.
And it just add back into your back.
Yeah.
That is a strong foundation.
Yeah.
Okay, so I ask, have you, because most of the time when you hear people trying to help a cause and back a cause as strongly as you do, have you ever experienced the same thing in terms of isolation? Because I feel like I've experienced that during the course of my life as well. Have you experienced the same thing?
Of course, definitely. I've felt it, and it's something I don't want other people to feel. And I feel like sometimes I do too much for people to not feel that way at the expense of myself sometimes. But I definitely have felt isolated. And now one of my I would say pet peeve, one of the things that I love to do is just detox and remain by myself, because that's my safe space. That's what I know, right? But thankfully, that isolation is not an unhealthy isolation. It's one of, all right, I need to recharge. I'm going to put the phone in and relax for 2 hours and then go back out. Because I'm what they call an ambivert now. I can pump real hard, but when I done pump,
When the social battery dead,
leave me alone, right? Even if I out and talk to nobody, my social battery is an hour. Not when I start talking, is when I reach. And if the hour done, let me go.
that hoodie up and I ready to go.
Exactly. So that is me. Isolation helps me to recharge and go again.
Okay, with that, let me ask you if you can relate to this. Before you start driving, you would go family functions.
Yeah.
And you're in the family function, you had to wait till everybody ready to go home. But when you start driving, you're in the family function, when your social battery dead, was the ability to go in your vehicle and go home, were you like that?
Of course. Amazing. It's an amazing feeling to say, hey, I go on, I go on, that time to go, right? You know how much time I tell people I work in the morning? I don't work in the morning, right? Because I just know I have to go.
Yeah,
and
boy.
nobody can compete with, I work in the morning. Nobody can say, because Lime now, you can't compete with work in the morning. So it works for them. It works for them.